Hey everybody, I'm Beatrice Henry and I'm a community education worker with Start at Zero, and I am here to share with you a few tips on how you can get your child ready for kindergarten. I was able to sit in 4 classrooms at 3 different schools and have interviews with 6 different teachers, and I'm going to share with you just a recap of what the information that the teachers gave me. The first thing I did was ask all of the teachers these same 7 questions. A few of the questions are, what best can a parent do to prepare their child for kindergarten? Their learning basics, like as the teacher's perspective of what the child should learn before they're coming to kindergarten, and also things that the parents can do to help prepare their children in the process. I'm going to break this down into 6 categories. They are cognitive, language, social emotional, motor, personal care, and helpful hints. The first is cognitive, the process of building and learning skills, including attention, memory, and thinking. For colors, they want your child to know and identify at least 10 colors. The letters, they want the child to know the letters of the alphabet and identify them by sight. Shapes, to know the basic shapes, and there are about 10 basic shapes that your child should know before entering kindergarten. And numbers. This is where it gets a little tricky because each school was just a little different on their variations. One school said to know numbers from 1 to 10. Another school said from 1 to 20. And then there was also a school that said from 1 to 100, to be able to count from 1 to 100. So the big thing is knowing specifically what that child's school says that they should have. And those are communications and conversations that you'll have with that specific teacher. The next is language. And language is the process by which children learn to communicate, whether receptive, verbal, or expressive. And the first thing is vocabulary. You want to make sure your child has the appropriate communication to interact with not only the teacher, but also their peers in the classroom. And these are basic things like please and thank you, and also knowing how to communicate their feelings effectively. Academic specifics are like compare and contrast, and also positional words as far as above, below, inside, outside, left or right, or next to, and on the side of. So those are things that you want to work on your children with, and you can do those things at home as well before they're entering school. And also a part of a book. You want to make sure your child can know how to face the book in the proper direction. They're turning the pages even one by one, and also knowing to read from left to right, and that's how the book forms, and that's how they're going to read and follow those words and letters along. The next is social emotional. And this is the process where children learn to understand, experience, and express and manage their emotions, and also develop meaningful relationships with others. The big thing for this is how to manage this in a classroom setting. So you want to make sure your child is able to work well with others, and that's sharing, managing their own personal space. And a big one I heard from teachers is having your child to understand the process of when they have the situations where they say, I don't want to. Yes, you don't want to, but can you do it anyway? Because sometimes in those classroom situations, I don't want to is not where you get to stop. It's I don't want to, but I need to do this. So trying to figure out a way you can do that anyway. Waiting your turn is also a thing, especially in a classroom of 15 to 20 students. Your child is not going to be able to do the things that they need or want right away. So being able to be respectful of the teacher's time and also the other students in the classroom as well. And how to deal with negative emotions, because we all have them. But like I said, in a classroom with 15 to 20 people, if everyone else is having negative emotions, to be able to express those in a way that is conducive to a classroom setting. Next, we're going to talk about motor skills. And this is the child's ability to move around and manipulate their body in a space. The big thing for this on how to manage in a classroom setting, a lot of teachers said sitting for story time. Some children have not had story time at home, where they're actually needing to sit for a certain amount of time. And with the teacher's instructions and managing a classroom full of those other students, it's very important that your child is able to sit, hear instructions, follow instructions, and be able to sit just through that story time so they're able to gain the knowledge that the teacher is giving them. Ability to complete classroom tasks. These things include sharpening a pencil, grabbing the required materials that the teacher says that they need to finish this specific assignment. And also proper pencil grip. so that they're writing the way that they should be and working on those fine motor skills to make sure they've got that grip down. The next are the personal care for the child. And this is where I really had the most stories from the teachers. The first thing is their name. They should be able to know and identify their own name. Some teachers said that a lot of students are used to being called by a nickname. So once they get into a classroom and they're being called by their first and last names, they're not able to identify because the parents haven't been calling them by their actual names. So make sure you're practicing with your child knowing their first and last names, and also, even if they can't spell it, being able to identify that name when they see it. The other thing is the bathroom skills. Making sure that your child is able to get to the bathroom with little to no assistance. Some teachers said that even within the beginning of that first school year, some children, they were having to come unlock from a bathroom stall because they haven't had practice with opening, unlocking, and getting themselves out of a bathroom stall without the parent's assistance. Personal items. To help your child identify and be able to keep up with their own personal items. A lot of schools have specific places where you'll need items for reading, and these are set up in this is our reading area. Go over to get your items for your reading materials, and knowing what they need to get and actually being able to get those materials and produce them for this activity. Focus. Being able to stay on task for what the teacher is asking you to do until you are able to complete your assignment. So that goes back to listening to the instructions so they are clear and they know exactly what to do, and also being able to follow through with those instructions to make sure that the task is complete. So with all the information that I got, there are a few things that we can just kind of mesh into helpful hints. And these are just things that the teachers told me, just passing through, and with some of those questions that I can answer from a teacher's point of view from what they said. The first is to visit the classroom. This helps you to have effective communication, so you'll know what the teacher is talking about. You'll have the proper vocabulary, so when your child is coming home talking about certain things that they're doing in their classroom, you'll know exactly what they're talking about, and you can reference that because you've already had that communication with the teacher. One of the things that I heard a lot are leader checks, and your child will know what a leader check is, but if they're saying that to you and you haven't visited the classroom or talked to the teacher, you may not be aware of what a leader check is and how to help make sure your child is doing that properly. Also, brain breaks. This is another vocabulary thing that I heard from a classroom. The brain breaks are things that when your child is having a hard time, they're able to stop, refocus, so they can get to that effective learning process like they should be. And if you're not sure what that is and your child's like, hey, I need a brain break, you're like, I don't know what a brain break is, but if I'm visiting with my child's teacher, I know what that is, and I know how to best assist my child to make sure that they're able to do that. The next is, and this one was one that I heard from every single teacher that I talked to, letting your child see you and their teacher communicating, because they need to know that, yes, I'm talking to your teacher. Yes, your teacher is talking to me. We're communicating, so we are exchanging information, and I know exactly what's going on in your classroom. And your teacher is also aware of the best ways to communicate to you, whether it's by email, by text message, or whatever works best for you guys, so you're available for those parent-teacher conferences. And also not just when something is going wrong in the classroom. You want to have that communication already set up so you can hear the highlights of your child's day and not just the teacher is calling me again because something is wrong. So put those things into place ahead of time so your child knows that you're going to communicate and knows that if something is good and if there's a hiccup in the classroom, I know that my parent and teacher are going to communicate about that effectively. The next thing is to check in. Like I said, not just when there's something going on, but to make sure you're checking in with your child to say, hey, how did your day go? What's new? What's different? How's that going on? Or what can we do to adjust some things at home so the community is effective and is conducive for both situations? A lot of what you need to do to help your child prepare for kindergarten is making sure that you're reading to them. You're getting print awareness, you're getting that communication and verbal skills for your child, and it's also just giving them a love of learning because it's something that you're doing together. The last two things are things that I didn't think about, but I've talked to parents and they said were very helpful. To be on time and to make sure that your child stays for the entire day. If your child is coming in late to a classroom, sometimes they have a harder time adjusting because they've already missed some things. So that is giving your child more of a time to have to adjust where they're missing out on things that your other students are already going over. And to stay all day. Just think about if your child is coming in 30 minutes late in the morning and leaving an hour before school's over. That's a whole chunk of time, an hour and 30 minutes of learning time, plus the time that it takes your child to adjust to being in the classroom, that they're missing out on that education that they should be getting. And a bonus for you, just with all the information that I've gathered, I'm just going to give you a few tips of things that you can do at home before your child gets to school, and also once your child is in that situation, to nail what they're learning at school and to help them retain this information. The first thing is just get creative. There are so many things that you can do creatively at home to teach your child. Educational games, TV shows. KCPT is one that's really good. They have a lot of educational shows and apps. Your child is going to be on your phone at some point, so make sure that the games that they're playing are educational games that reinforce the learning that you want your child to have. Field trips. This doesn't have to be anything special, just outings whether you're going to the grocery store. You can talk about the letters that are in the name of the store that you're going to. Talk about prices in the store. They can count items. They can stack things in the store. Just make sure that you're thinking about showing them that learning doesn't just happen in a classroom setting, that they can learn other places. Family game nights. This is one that's really good because it comes with a lot of benefits. You're teaching your child to wait their turn. You're teaching them to be respectful of other people's space and their time, and also how to cheer others on as well, because you're a team and you're working on how to say, hey, like, it's your turn, it's your sister's turn, it's mom, dad's turn, grandmother, whoever, and just saying this is how we want to also support not just you, but the others that are in the game as well. Library visits. And this is a great tool because it's free. You can check out books, movies, and they also have activities that they do at the library that help to also help with this learning as well. Reading list. Some schools do have reading lists, but they also have reading lists by grade level at the libraries that you can take the little bookmark and introduce your child to stages of reading depending on what their specific grade level is. And like I said, get creative. You can make up games or activities. We do this all the time at home. Make up different games and activities to kind of reiterate what you're trying to teach your child and what they're already learning. And use community resources. There's someone that you know that can give your child just an extra edge on what they're already learning or help them to see it in a new perspective. The last three things are talk, read, and sing. These are things that are free. You don't have to have any extra additional resources or materials to do. Talk about your day. Talk about what you're going to do, things that you do on a specific day of the week. Read the signs, read labels on foods. Anything that you can do that has some kind of literacy with it, do it. And sing. The best way to help your child retain information is to sing to them. There's something about music that helps them learn and to retain those things that they're learning. So do that. Talk, read, and sing about anything that you're doing with your child, and you will set them up to have a successful time, not only in school, but for life.